The dingy spaceport bar reeked of cheap booze, desperation, and the pungent musk of a dozen alien species. In a shadowy corner, nursing a luminescent green drink, sat a figure that stood out even in this eclectic gathering of the galaxy's dregs. Raj, the lizard-like alien, shifted uncomfortably in his steel-armored spacesuit, feeling the weight of his exile with every breath. His scaly, bald head glistened under the flickering neon lights as he surveyed the bar, searching for something, anything, to take his mind off his misery. A raucous burst of laughter drew his attention to a nearby table where a group of humans were engaged in a high-stakes game of galactic poker. The game, a twisted amalgamation of a dozen different alien card games, was notoriously difficult to master, but the humans seemed to be holding their own. Raj hesitated for a moment, his clawed fingers tapping nervously against his glass. He had always been a loner, even among his own kind, but the prospect of another night spent drowning in self-pity was too much to bear. With a resigned sigh, he drained his drink and made his way over to the table. As he approached, the humans looked up, their eyes widening in surprise. Raj knew he made for an imposing figure, his steel-armored suit glinting under the bar's dim lighting. But to their credit, the humans didn't flinch. "Mind if I join?" Raj asked, his voice a rasping hiss through his suit's translator. The man to his left, a rugged human wearing a battered leather exoskeleton with metal reinforcements, grinned and gestured to an empty seat. "Sure thing, pal. The name's Cole Snyder." Raj nodded, sliding into the seat. "Raj," he replied, not bothering with any further introduction. The woman to his right, a stunning redhead poured into a tight leather dress, leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Welcome to the game, Raj. I hope you brought your game and your credits." Raj allowed himself a small smile, hidden behind his helmet. "Don't worry about me, human. I can hold my own." As the cards were dealt and the game began, Raj found himself slowly drawn into the easy camaraderie of the humans. They laughed, they joked, they drank, and they played, and for the first time in longer than he could remember, Raj felt a sense of belonging. Hours passed and the stakes grew higher. Raj found himself up against Cole in a final all-or-nothing hand. The flop came down, and Raj's heart raced as he realized he was holding a monster hand. This was it, his chance to win big and change his fortunes. But as he looked up at Cole, ready to push his stack of credits into the middle, he saw something in the human's eyes that gave him pause. There was a glint of desperation there, a look Raj knew all too well. In that moment, he realized that Cole needed this win far more than he did. With a sigh, Raj folded his cards, conceding the hand and the game to Cole. The human's eyes widened in surprise, then softened with gratitude. "Why'd you do that, Raj?" Cole asked, his voice low. "You had me beat, didn't you?" Raj shrugged, the movement awkward in his suit. "Sometimes there are more important things than winning, human. Consider it a gift from one outcast to another." As he rose to leave, the redhead caught his arm. "Wait," she said, her voice soft. "Stay with us, Raj. We've got a ship, and we could always use another crew member, especially one as interesting as you." Raj hesitated, torn between his natural inclination toward solitude and the unexpected warmth he felt from these humans. In the end, the choice was easy. "All right," he said, settling back into his seat. "Deal me in." And as the cards flew and the laughter echoed through the bar, Raj realized that maybe, just maybe, he had finally found a place where he belonged. Among the stars, with a ragtag crew of humans who accepted him for who he was, scales, steel, and all. The Starfire, a battered old Firefly-class transport ship, hurtled through the inky void of space, its engines straining against the unforgiving emptiness. Inside, the newly formed crew of misfits and outcasts went about their daily routines, still getting used to each other's quirks and personalities. Raj, the lizard-like alien in his ever-present steel-armored spacesuit, found himself in the engine room, his clawed hands deep in the guts of the ship's temperamental power core. Despite his imposing appearance, he had a natural affinity for machines, and he relished the opportunity to get his hands dirty. As he worked, he couldn't help but reflect on the strange turn his life had taken. Just a few short weeks ago, he had been a pariah, cast out by his own people and left to wander the galaxy alone. Now he was part of a crew, a family of sorts, bound together by their shared status as outsiders. There was Cole Snyder, the rugged human with a stoic character, who served as the ship's captain. He was a man of few words, but when he spoke, everyone listened. Raj had come to respect Cole's quiet strength and unwavering loyalty to his crew. Then there was Stormy, the stunning redhead in the tight leather hazmat suit, who acted as the ship's pilot and resident femme fatale. She was as quick with a quip as she was with a blaster, and Raj had learned early on not to underestimate her. Rounding out the crew were a motley assortment of humans and aliens, each with their own unique skills and backgrounds. There was Doc, the grizzled medic with a heart of gold. Riggs, the burly weapons specialist with a penchant for explosions. And Chire, the enigmatic hacker with a past shrouded in mystery. Together, they took on whatever jobs they could find, from smuggling contraband to ferrying passengers to the far reaches of the galaxy. It wasn't always easy, and they had their fair share of close calls, but they always had each other's backs. As Raj finished his repairs and wiped the grease from his hands, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "All hands to the bridge," came Cole's gruff voice. "We've got a situation." Raj hurried to the bridge, where the rest of the crew had already gathered. On the view screen, a massive alien warship loomed, its weapons bristling with menace. "They're hailing us," Stormy said, her fingers flying over the controls. "Patch them through." The view screen flickered, and the image of a sneering insectoid alien appeared. "Attention, Starfire," the alien hissed, his mandibles clicking with each word. "You are harboring a fugitive from the S-Zerong Empire. Surrender him to us immediately, or be destroyed." Raj felt a chill run down his spine. They were talking about him. His past had finally caught up with him, and now his new family was in danger because of it. He stepped forward, ready to surrender himself to save the others, but Cole held up a hand, stopping him in his tracks. "I don't know who you think you are," Cole said, his voice low and dangerous. "But on this ship, we don't turn our backs on family. Raj is one of us, and if you want him, you'll have to go through all of us." The alien's eyes narrowed, and for a moment, Raj thought it might actually open fire, but then, to everyone's surprise, it let out a harsh, clicking laugh. "Very well, humans," it said, its voice dripping with disdain. "You have sealed your fate. Prepare to be boarded." As the view screen went dark, Cole turned to his crew, his eyes blazing with determination. "All right, people," he said, his voice ringing out across the bridge. "We've got a fight on our hands, but we're not going down without a fight. Riggs, Chire, get to the armory and break out the heavy weapons. Doc, prep the medbay for casualties. Stormy, keep us out of their crosshairs. And Raj," he turned to the lizard-like alien, a grin spreading across his face. "Let's show these bastards what happens when they mess with our family." Raj nodded, a fierce pride swelling in his chest. He may have been born at S-Zerong, but he had found his true home among the stars, with a crew of humans who would fight for him no matter the odds. As the crew scrambled to their stations, ready to face whatever came their way, Raj couldn't help but smile behind his helmet. This was where he belonged, and he would fight to the death to protect it. The Starfire shuddered as the S-Zerong warship's boarding craft latched onto its hull, the metallic clang reverberating through the ship's corridors. Raj and the rest of the crew had taken up defensive positions, their weapons at the ready, determined to repel the invaders at any cost. Raj crouched behind a makeshift barricade, his pulse rifle humming with barely contained energy. Beside him, Cole and Stormy exchanged a tense glance, their fingers tight on their triggers. As the sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the airlock, with a hiss of hydraulics, the airlock door slid open, revealing a squad of heavily armed S-Zerong warriors, their chitinous armor glinting in the dim light. For a moment, the two sides stared each other down, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Then, with a roar of fury, the Zerong charged, their plasma rifles spitting bolts of searing energy. The crew of the Starfire responded in kind, their own weapons blazing to life as they met the onslaught head-on. Raj lost himself in the chaos of battle, his rifle bucking against his shoulder as he fired shot after shot into the advancing horde. Beside him, Cole and Stormy fought with a savage grace, their movements perfectly synchronized as they cut down Zerong after Zerong. But even as they fought with everything they had, Raj knew they were outmatched. The Zerong kept coming, their numbers seemingly endless, and the crew of the Starfire was being pushed back inch by bloody inch. Just as all seemed lost, a wild idea flashed through Raj's mind. It was a desperate gamble, but it might just be their only chance. "Cole!" he shouted over the din of battle. "The power core. If we can lure them into the engine room and overload the core, we might be able to take them out in one shot." Cole's eyes widened, then narrowed with grim determination. "It's a hell of a risk, Raj," he said, his voice strained, "but it's better than dying on our knees." Stormy, Riggs, Chire, fall back to the engine room. Doc, stay here and cover our retreat. Raj, you're with me. The crew nodded, their faces set with resolve, as they put Cole's plan into motion. Raj and Cole fought their way through the Zerong lines, drawing the bulk of their forces deeper into the ship, toward the waiting trap. As they reached the engine room, Raj could feel the power core thrumming beneath his feet, the energy building to a fever pitch. He and Cole took up positions on either side of the door, their weapons trained on the entrance, ready to fire. "You ready, Cole?" Raj asked, his voice tight with tension. Raj nodded, his heart pounding in his chest. "Ready." The Zerong burst through the door, their weapons blazing, but Raj and Cole were ready for them. They opened fire, their shots tearing through the Zerong ranks, driving them back toward the overloading power core. Just as the core reached critical mass, Raj and Cole dove for cover, the world around them exploding in a blinding flash of light and heat. The Zerong were consumed in an instant, their bodies vaporized by the sheer force of the blast. When the smoke cleared, Raj and Cole emerged from the wreckage, battered but alive. The rest of the crew joined them, their faces streaked with soot and sweat, but their eyes shining with victory. "We did it," Stormy said, her voice hoarse with exhaustion. "We actually did it." Cole nodded, a weary smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Damn right we did. And we couldn't have done it without Raj." He turned to the lizard-like alien, his eyes soft with gratitude. "Thank you, Raj, for everything. You're not just a part of this crew, you're family." Raj felt a lump form in his throat, his emotions threatening to overwhelm him. For so long, he had been alone, cast out and unwanted, but now he had found a place where he belonged, a family that would fight for him no matter the odds. "Thank you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "All of you, for accepting me, for fighting for me. I may have been born as Zerong, but my true home is here with all of you." As the crew of the Starfire gathered around him, their arms encircling him in a fierce embrace, Raj knew that he had finally found his place in the universe, and he would never let it go. In the aftermath of their harrowing battle with the Zerong, the crew of the Starfire limped their way to the nearest spaceport for some much-needed repairs and rest. As they docked, Raj couldn't help but feel a sense of unease wash over him. Word of his presence on the ship had surely spread, and he knew it was only a matter of time before more of his past caught up with him. As the crew disembarked, stretching their legs and breathing in the recycled air of the station, a figure detached itself from the shadows and approached them. It was a human male, dressed in the crisp uniform of the Galactic Enforcement Agency, his face a mask of stern authority. "Cole Snyder?" the man asked, his eyes flicking over the crew before settling on the captain. Cole stepped forward, his posture wary. "That's me. What can I do for you, officer?" The man's gaze shifted to Raj, his expression hardening. "I'm here for the Zerong. He's wanted for crimes against the Galactic Federation, and I've been tasked with bringing him in." Raj felt his blood run cold, his mind racing with the implications of the officer's words. He had always known his past would catch up with him someday, but he had hoped it would be on his own terms. To his surprise, Cole stepped in front of him, shielding him from the officer's view. "I'm afraid I can't let you do that, officer," he said, his voice low and steady. "Raj is a member of my crew, and we don't turn our backs on our own." The officer's hand drifted toward his sidearm, his eyes narrowing. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Snyder. The S-Zerong is coming with me, one way or another." Raj placed a hand on Cole's shoulder, gently pushing him aside. "It's okay, Cole," he said, his voice resigned. "I can't keep running from my past forever. It's time I face the consequences of my actions." He stepped forward, his hands raised in surrender. But before the officer could slap a pair of restraints on him, a voice rang out across the docking bay. "Wait!" Raj turned, his eyes widening in surprise as he saw a familiar figure striding toward them. It was Rex, his old mentor from the S-Zerong military, the one who had trained him and molded him into the soldier he had once been. Rex came to a stop before them, his eyes locking with Raj's. "I never thought I'd see you again, old friend," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I thought you were lost to us forever." Raj shook his head, a bitter smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "I was Rex. I was lost the moment I realized what our people had become, the things we did, the lives we destroyed. I couldn't be a part of that anymore." Rex nodded, his expression somber. "I know, Raj, and that's why I'm here, to make things right." He turned to the Galactic Enforcement Officer, his posture straightening. "Officer, I am Rex, former commander of the S-Zerong military. I have come to offer myself in exchange for Raj's freedom." The officer blinked, his brow furrowing in confusion. "I don't understand. Why would you do that, Rex?"
Rex smiled, a sad, knowing smile.
"Because Raj was the only one of us who had the courage to stand up for what was right. He showed me that there was another way, a better way, and now it's my turn to do the same for him." He held out his hands, his wrists together. "Take me, officer. I surrender myself to the Galactic Federation to face the consequences of my own actions. But let Raj go. He's earned his freedom and his place among the stars." The officer hesitated, torn between his duty and the weight of Rex's words. Finally, with a heavy sigh, he nodded. "Very well, Rex. You are hereby placed under arrest for crimes against the Galactic Federation. Raj, you are free to go." As the officer led Rex away, the old S-Zerong paused, turning back to face his former pupil. "Take care of yourself, Raj," he said, his voice soft, "and never forget what you fought for, what we all fought for." Raj nodded, his throat tight with emotion. "I won't, Rex, I promise." As he watched his old mentor disappear into the crowd, Raj felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Cole standing beside him, his eyes shining with pride. "You okay, Raj?" he asked, his voice gentle. Raj nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Yeah, Cole, I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be." Cole grinned, clapping Raj on the back. "Damn right you are, and we wouldn't have it any other way." As they gathered parts for the Starfire, Raj couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought him to this moment. He had started as an outcast, rejected by his own people and forced to wander the stars alone. But through a twist of fate, he had found a new family, a group of misfits and outcasts who had accepted him for who he was, not what he had been. Together, they had faced impossible odds, battling against the very forces that had sought to tear them apart. And through it all, they had emerged stronger, their bonds forged in the heat of combat and tempered by the unbreakable ties of loyalty and love. As soon as the most critical repairs were completed, Cole gathered the crew in the common area. "Listen up, everyone," he said, his voice serious. "We can't stay here. It's too risky. We need to find a safer port, somewhere we can lay low and regroup." Stormy nodded, her fingers already dancing across the navigation console. I know just the place. Rigel 7. It's a small, out-of-the-way spaceport mostly used by smugglers and traders. The perfect spot for a ship like ours to blend in. Cole grinned, his eyes sparkling with approval. Rigel 7 it is, then. Let's get this bird in the air. As the Starfire lifted off from the docking bay, Raj couldn't help but feel a sense of relief wash over him. They had survived against all odds, and now they were setting out on a new adventure, one that would take them far from the troubles of the past. He knew that the road ahead would not be easy, that there would be new challenges and dangers waiting for them at every turn. But he also knew that he was exactly where he belonged, surrounded by a crew that had become more than just friends. They were family. As the stars streaked past the viewports, Raj let his mind wander, dreaming of the adventures that lay ahead. He knew that there would be moments of doubt and fear, but he also knew that as long as they stood together, there was nothing they couldn't overcome. Stormy's voice crackled over the intercom, her tone playful. Next stop, Rigel 7. Let's see what kind of trouble we can get into there. A chuckle rippled through the crew, the tension of the past few days melting away in the face of their new destination. And as the Starfire hurtled through the endless expanse of space, Raj felt a sense of peace wash over him, a feeling of contentment that he had never known before. He was home, surrounded by the people he loved, doing what he was meant to do. And no matter what the future held, he knew that he would face it with courage, with honor, and with the unshakable belief that as long as they stood together, there was nothing they couldn't achieve. And so, with a smile on his face and a song in his heart, Raj settled back in his seat, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. For he was a part of something greater now, a legacy that would endure long after he was gone, and that, in the end, was all that mattered. Thank you for listening to the story. Help me subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell to soon update the latest stories.